Commander Zekthor stood in front of the large viewing window on his ship. His 4 eyes stared at something floating in space. It was a human ship. The metal hull looked old and damaged. Small holes covered the surface. It looked like nobody had taken care of it for many years. His second officer walked up beside him. Her name was Vryn. She held a datapad in her clawed hands. Her voice sounded excited when she spoke. "Commander, our computers identified the ship. It is human. The design matches their old exploration ships. The name is Liberty Dawn. Our records say it went missing 73 cycles ago." Zekthor made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. He did this when he was thinking. The humans were strange to the Krell people. Humans appeared in the galaxy only 200 cycles ago. They grew their territory very fast. But the Krell did not think humans were dangerous. Humans liked to trade. They liked to talk and make deals. They were not warriors like the Krell. "Does the ship have any life forms on it?" Zekthor asked. "No, Commander. The ship is completely dead. We detect no power, no heat, no signals of any kind. It is just floating in space." Zekthor felt pleased. A lost human ship could teach them many things. The Krell hegemony wanted to know more about human technology. The Krell leaders were preparing for war with humans. They needed every piece of information they could get. This ship was a gift. "Get a team ready to go on that ship," Zekthor said. "Give them full combat armor. I want everything from that ship. Every computer. Every piece of equipment. Take it all." Vryn looked worried. "Commander, should we tell Fleet Command first? Humans sometimes put tracking devices on their ships." Zekthor made a sound that was like laughing. "Let them track it. We will take what we want and leave. By the time any human ships arrive, we will be far away. This area of space is neutral territory. Humans have no ships here." Zekthor did not know something important. Every time his ship used its sensors, something was watching. Every message his crew sent, something was recording. Every move his ship made, something was tracking it. The dead human ship was not doing this. Something else was. Something much more dangerous. 3 light minutes away from the Krell ship, a human vessel waited. It was hiding in the shadow of a dead moon. The ship was called Shadow of Intent. It was a stealth frigate. The Krell could not see it on their sensors. The captain of the Shadow of Intent was Commander Jake Matthews. He sat in his command chair. He looked calm and patient. His face showed no emotion. He was like a hunter waiting for prey to walk into a trap. Lieutenant Claire Morrison was his second officer. She sat at the sensor station. She spoke quietly. "Captain, they are taking the bait. The Krell ship is a Devastator-class warship. They are getting a boarding team ready." Matthews smiled just a little bit. "Good. How long have we been following them?" 17 days, sir. We started tracking them when they entered the Epsilon Tertius system. They have attacked civilian transport ships 3 times. We have proof of all 3 attacks. And now they think they found treasure," Matthews said in a soft voice. "The Liberty Dawn was going to be destroyed anyway. We found a better use for her." Morrison looked at her captain. She seemed worried. "Sir, what if they scan the Dawn very carefully? They might figure out it is a trap." "They will not," Matthews said. "The Krell are proud. They think humans are weak because we like to talk instead of fight. They have no idea what humans can really do when we decide to hunt something." On the Krell warship, 20 warriors got ready for the boarding mission. Each warrior was over 7 feet tall. They wore powered armor that could stop bullets. The armor was thick and strong. It made them look like monsters. The team leader was named Krath. He checked his weapon one more time. Then he checked on his team. Everyone was ready. They climbed into the boarding shuttle and flew toward the human ship. The shuttle attached itself to the Liberty Dawn. The Krell warriors used cutting tools to make a hole in the airlock door. Metal glowed red and then white as they cut through. Soon they had made a hole big enough to enter. Krath went through the hole first. His armor had many sensors. They painted a picture of the inside of the ship using different kinds of light and heat. Everything was dark. Everything was cold. Everything was dead. This was exactly what he expected to find. "Move out," Krath told his team. "Go to the bridge, the engine room, and the computer storage area. Kill anything that moves." The team moved through the narrow hallways of the human ship. The ship was smaller than Krell ships. It felt tight and cramped. Krath did not like it. It felt like the walls were too close together. As they walked toward the bridge, one of his warriors called out. His name was Vex. "Leader, I'm seeing something strange. There are maintenance robots in the cargo bay. They are turned off. There are many of them. Maybe 30 or 40. Forget about them, Krath said. Focus on what we came here to do. They reached the bridge. The door was already open. It hung crooked on broken hinges. Krath stepped inside with his weapon ready. The command center was a mess. All the screens were dark. All the chairs were empty. But the main computer was still there. Perfect, Krath said. He attached a device to the main computer. Start downloading everything. I want all the messages, all the navigation data, all the tactical information. Take it all. While the download happened, another team member looked at the captain's computer. His name was Morn. He was the technology specialist. Leader, this is strange, Morn said. The computer logs say the crew left the ship on purpose. They evacuated in an organized way. It was not an emergency. Krath felt a cold feeling in his stomach. What do you mean on purpose? Why would they leave a good ship? The logs do not say. They just record that 73 cycles ago the crew was ordered to leave. They went to a transport ship. There is no mention of any damage or any emergency. Before Krath could answer, his communication device made a noise. It was Commander Zekthor. Boarding team, give me a report. Did you secure the ship? Yes, Commander. We are taking the data now. But something is wrong. The logs say the ship was abandoned on purpose. The crew just left it here. There was silence for a moment. Explain what you mean, Zekthor said. The crew evacuated with no emergency. No damage, no problems. They just left the ship floating in space. Another moment of silence. This one was longer. When Zekthor spoke again, his voice was sharp and loud. Stop the mission. Come back to the Vengeance right now. That is an order. Krath felt his warrior instinct screaming at him. Something was very wrong. But the download was almost complete. Commander, we are almost done getting the data. Just a few more minutes and we will have everything. I said stop. Get off that ship now. But it was already too late. The trap was about to spring shut. All around the Liberty Dawn, the maintenance robots suddenly turned on. These robots had been sitting in the dark for a long time. Everyone thought they were broken and useless. But they were not broken. They were waiting. Human programmers had changed the robots before the crew left the ship. They gave the robots new instructions. The instructions were simple. Find Krell life signs. Eliminate all threats. The robots were not built for fighting. They were built for mining and repair work. They had cutting torches and welding tools. But in the hands of smart military programmers, these tools became weapons. The first Krell warrior to die did not even have time to scream. A robot with a plasma cutter moved fast. The super-hot beam cut through his armor like it was paper. The warrior fell to the floor. Krath spun around when he heard the noise. He saw robots everywhere. They were coming from the walls, from the ceiling, from the cargo bays. There were so many of them. Defensive positions. Fight back, Krath shouted into his communicator. The Krell warriors started shooting. Their weapons were powerful. Each shot could blow holes in metal walls. But the robots were small and fast. They used the narrow hallways to their advantage. The Krell were big and strong, but they could not move quickly in the tight spaces. One robot climbed on the ceiling. It dropped down onto a warrior's back. Welding tools sparked and burned. The warrior's armor began to melt. Another warrior tried to help his friend. But 3 more robots attacked him from different directions. Krath fired his weapon again and again. He destroyed 2 robots. But for every robot he destroyed, 2 more appeared. It was like fighting shadows. The robots seemed to know where the Krell would move before they moved. Fall back to the airlock, Krath ordered. We need to get off this ship. His team tried to retreat, but the robots had blocked the path. They had cut through walls and floors. They had created barriers using pieces of metal and debris. The Krell were trapped. On the Krell warship Vengeance of Stars, Commander Zekthor watched the video feeds from his warriors' armor cameras. What he saw made his blood cold. His proud warriors, the best soldiers in the Krell military, were being torn apart by simple maintenance robots. Get us out of here, he shouted at his pilot. Full power to the engines. Start the jump drive. The Vengeance of Stars began to turn. The massive warship started to point away from the Liberty Dawn. They needed to run. They needed to escape. But then every alarm on the bridge started making noise. Red lights flashed everywhere. The tactical officer's voice was high and scared. Commander, huge energy reading. Something just appeared behind us. It came out of stealth mode. Zekthor felt his heart stop beating for a moment. What? Explain. It is a human ship. Frigate class. Distance is 3,000 kilometers. It is coming toward us very fast. They have locked weapons on us. The display screen showed everything clearly. A human ship appeared on the sensors. It was much smaller than the Vengeance, but it moved with frightening speed. It turned and twisted like a living thing, and it had been there the whole time, watching, waiting, hiding. It was a trap, Vryn whispered. She stared at the screen with wide eyes. The dead ship, the boarding team, all of it. They were hunting us. Zekthor's mind worked fast. The Vengeance was a powerful warship. It had fought many battles, but it was built for direct combat, not for running away. And the human ship had picked the perfect moment to attack. The Krell shields were down. All attention had been on the boarding team. Fire all weapons, Zekthor commanded. Do not let them get closer. The Vengeance's plasma batteries fired. Bright bolts of superheated energy flew through space, enough power to destroy a small moon. The Krell weapons officer was very skilled. His aim was perfect, but the human ship avoided every shot. It moved like a dancer. It rolled and dove and spun through space. The Krell weapons could not touch it. It was too small, too fast, too smart. On the Shadow of Intent, Lieutenant Amy Chen sat at the pilot controls. Her hands moved over the console like she was playing music. She had trained for this her whole career. Dodging enemy fire while closing distance. She made it look easy. Missiles are ready, Captain, she said calmly. Commander Matthews sat in his chair. He looked relaxed. His voice was calm when he spoke. Fire. 6 missiles launched from the Shadow of Intent. They were called Hunter Seekers. They were not the biggest missiles that humans had, but they were smart. Very smart. They could think. They could learn. They could change their path to avoid defenses. The Krell point defense system shot down 4 missiles. Automated guns fired thousands of rounds. 2 missiles exploded in bright flashes. 2 more were hit and tumbled away into space, but 2 missiles got through. They hit the Vengeance's engine section. The explosions were precise and controlled. The missiles knew exactly where to hit. They punched through armor and exploded deep inside the ship's systems. The entire Krell warship shook. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Zekthor grabbed his command chair to stay standing. Damage report, he shouted. The damage control officer looked at his screens. His voice shook when he spoke. Jump drive is destroyed. Main engines are at 40% power. We have hull breaches on decks 7, 8, and 9. Emergency force fields are holding but using a lot of power. Zekthor understood what this meant. They could not run. They could not jump to another system. The human ship had crippled them with 2 missiles. 2 perfect shots that destroyed exactly what they needed to escape. This was not a battle. This was something worse. This was an execution. The humans had planned everything. They had tracked the Vengeance for days. They had set the perfect trap. They had attacked at exactly the right moment. Send a distress call, Zekthor ordered. Use all frequencies. Maximum power. Let Fleet Command know what is happening. The communications officer worked fast. His claws clicked on the controls. Trying, Commander. But something is wrong. We are being jammed. I cannot send any messages out. On the Shadow of Intent, Matthews gave another quiet order. Keep jamming their communications. I do not want them calling for help. Jamming continues, sir. The communications officer confirmed. Morrison looked at her captain. Sir, we have them completely helpless. One more attack and we can finish this. Matthews shook his head slowly. Not yet. I want them to understand what is happening. I want them to feel what our civilians felt when the Krell attacked them. I want them to know what it means to be hunted. He opened a communication channel to the Krell ship. His voice would be heard on their bridge. Krell warship Vengeance of Stars. This is Commander Jake Matthews of the Human Systems Alliance Navy. You have been attacking civilian ships in this sector for 17 days. You have killed innocent people. That ends today. Zekthor's voice came back immediately. It was full of anger. Human, you dare to ambush a Krell warship? You dare to attack us in neutral space? This is an act of war. Matthews smiled. His smile was cold. There was no warmth in it. No, Commander. This is not war. This is justice. You thought humans were weak. You thought we were easy prey. You are about to learn why that was a mistake. The hunt had begun, and the Krell were learning a terrible lesson about what humans could become when they stopped talking and started hunting. The Shadow of Intent moved around the damaged Krell warship like a shark circling wounded prey. Commander Matthews did not rush. He did not attack wildly. Every shot was careful. Every missile was aimed at something specific. The battle, if anyone could call it that, continued for 30 more minutes. The Krell tried to fight back. They fired their weapons whenever they could get a clear shot. But the shadow was too fast. It moved in ways that seemed impossible. It would appear in one place, fire, and then disappear before the Krell could respond. One by one, the vengeance of stars lost its weapons. A missile would hit a gun battery. An energy beam would slice through a missile launcher. The human ship took apart the Krell warship piece by piece. Matthews was not trying to destroy them quickly. He was making sure they could not fight back at all. On the Krell bridge, Zekthor could only watch. His crew worked hard. They tried everything they knew. But nothing helped. The humans were simply better at this. Better at hunting. Better at fighting in space. Better at everything? How is this possible? Vryn asked quietly. She stared at the tactical display. Humans are not warriors. They are traders. They are diplomats. They talk instead of fight. That is what everyone says. Zekthor finally understood something important. He had read reports about humans before. He had studied their biology. Now the pieces fit together in his mind. They are persistence hunters, he said. His voice was quiet, almost sad. I read about it in the xenobiology files. On their home planet, humans were not the biggest predators. They were not the fastest. They were not the strongest. But they had one advantage that made them deadly. Vryn looked at her commander. What advantage? Patience, Zekthor answered. Humans would pick a target. Maybe a large animal. An animal that could run faster than them. An animal that was stronger. But humans would follow it. For days, for weeks. They would track it. They would never give up. They would chase it until the animal was too tired to run anymore. Then they would kill it. He gestured at the tactical screen, at the human ship circling them. That is what they have done to us. They picked us as their prey. They followed us for 17 days. They watched us. They learned our patterns. They set a trap, and now they are finishing the hunt. Vryn's face showed horror. You mean they have been following us since the first raid? Since we attacked those transport ships? Yes, Zekthor said. They saw everything. They recorded everything. They waited for the perfect moment, and we gave it to them when we stopped to investigate that derelict ship. Another explosion rocked the ship. The last working missile launcher was gone. The vengeance of stars was now completely helpless. It could not run. It could not jump. It could not fight. It could only float in space and wait. The communication channel opened again. Matthew's voice filled the bridge. Commander Zekthor, I am going to give you two choices. You can surrender your ship right now. Your crew will be treated according to the rules of the Galactic Convention. You will face trial for piracy and murder. Or you can keep fighting. If you do that, I will destroy your ship. Everyone on board will die. The choice is yours. Zekthor felt torn between two feelings. His pride told him to keep fighting. To die like a Krell warrior should die. Never surrender. Never give up. The Krell hegemony would never forgive surrender. It would be the ultimate shame. But when he looked around his bridge, he saw the truth. He saw crew members who were wounded. He saw systems that were broken. He saw a ship that was dying. If he kept fighting, everyone would die. And for what, pride? He thought about the warriors who died on the Liberty Dawn. He thought about the transport ships they had raided. The innocent people they had killed. Maybe this was justice after all. We surrender, Zekthor said. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. But know this, human. You have made an enemy of the Krell hegemony. We will not forget this, ever. Matthews's voice came back. It was cold. There was no kindness in it. Good, remember this. Let every ship in your hegemony remember. Let them know what happens when they attack human civilians. We prefer peace, Commander, but we are very good at war. Better than you can imagine. Within a few hours, more human ships arrived. A whole fleet of them. They had been waiting nearby the whole time. The shadow of intent had not been alone. There were destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels. They surrounded the vengeance of stars. The human fleet had come prepared. They had medical ships for the wounded. They had security teams to take the Krell crew into custody. They had everything ready. This had all been planned from the beginning. As the Krell warriors were moved to detention ships, Zekthor found himself standing face to face with Commander Matthews. The human was much smaller than him.
Zekthor was over 7 feet tall.
Matthews was maybe 6 feet. The human wore no armor. He looked weak and soft compared to a Krell warrior. But when Zekthor looked into Matthews' eyes, he saw something that made him afraid. It was an old look. The look of a predator that had been hunting for millions of years. A look that said this human knew how to kill and was very good at it. "You could have destroyed us any time you wanted," Zekthor said. "Why did you make such an elaborate trap? Why not just attack us directly?" Matthews thought about the question for a moment. Then he answered, "Because we wanted everyone to see. We wanted the whole galaxy to understand. Humanity does not just defend itself. We hunt those who threaten us. The Liberty Dawn, the stealth pursuit, the precise attack, it was all recorded. Every ship in this sector watched it happen on their sensors." "A message," Zekthor said. He understood now. "A warning," Matthews corrected him. "Leave humanity alone and we will trade with you. We will negotiate with you. We will be your friends. But if you attack us, if you hurt our people, then you will learn something important. You will learn why humans became the top predators on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy." Zekthor was taken away to a cell. As he walked through the human ship, he noticed things. The crew members were calm and efficient. They were not celebrating. They were not proud or boastful. They were just doing their jobs. Like this was normal for them. That scared him more than anything. The humans had hunted his ship for 17 days. They had set an elaborate trap. They had attacked with perfect precision, and they acted like it was just another day at work. Back on the Shadow of Intent, Lieutenant Morrison approached Commander Matthews. "Sir, the prisoner transfer is complete. All Krell personnel are secured. What are your orders?" "Set course for the nearest Human Systems Alliance station," Matthews said. "We need to deliver our evidence and our prisoners. Let them face justice." "And the Liberty Dawn, sir?" Matthews looked at the old ship on his screen. It had served humanity well. First as an exploration vessel, then as bait in a trap. "Scuttle it," said the self-destruct. She earned her rest. A few minutes later, the Liberty Dawn exploded. It was a small explosion, clean and controlled. The ship that had helped catch a predator was gone, but its mission was complete. As the Shadow of Intent jumped to faster than light speed, Matthews sat in his chair and thought about what would happen next. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity, something that would change how every species saw them. Humans were not just traders and diplomats. They were hunters, patient, intelligent, and when necessary, absolutely ruthless. And the hunt had only just begun. The trial of Commander Zekthor became the most watched event in the galaxy. Every species tuned in to see what would happen. News networks broadcast it live. People discussed it in homes, offices, and government buildings across hundreds of worlds. The Human Systems Alliance presented their evidence. They had sensor logs from 17 days of tracking. They had communication intercepts from the Krell ship. They had video footage from hidden cameras on the Liberty Dawn. They had witness statements from survivors of the transport ship attacks. The evidence was overwhelming. It showed clearly that the Krell had attacked civilian ships. It showed that they had killed innocent people. It showed that they had stolen cargo and left the survivors to die in space. But the galaxy was not just interested in the crimes. Everyone wanted to know about the hunt itself. How did humans track the Krell ship for so long without being seen? How did they set up such a perfect trap? How did one small human frigate destroy a massive Krell warship so easily? Military analysts from dozens of species studied every second of the footage. They watched the Shadow of Intent move through space. They analyzed how it avoided weapons fire. They examined how precisely it struck the Krell ship. Everyone was trying to understand. The footage went viral across every network in the galaxy. Young people watched it and felt excited. Military officers watched it and felt worried. Government leaders watched it and realized they had misunderstood humans badly. In the Krell hegemony, the defeat caused huge arguments. The military leaders wanted revenge. They wanted to declare war on humanity immediately. They said the Krell honor had been damaged. They said humans must pay for this insult, but other voices spoke up. Scientists who studied other species, diplomats who understood politics. They asked important questions. If one human frigate could do this to a Devastator-class warship, what could a whole human fleet do? What if humanity had more tricks and traps ready? The careful voices won. War was too risky. Nobody knew what else humans could do. Better to be cautious. Better to watch and learn. 3 months after the trial, Ambassador Krellick spoke to the Galactic Council. She was a senior diplomat, very experienced. She chose her words carefully. The Krell hegemony acknowledges that some of our military personnel acted without proper authority. They attacked civilian vessels. This was wrong. Those responsible have been disciplined. We express our regrets to the Human Systems Alliance. We also express sympathy to the families of those who died. It was not exactly an apology. The Krell were too proud to say sorry directly. But it was as close as they had ever come to admitting a mistake. And more importantly, the attacks stopped, not just against human ships, against all civilian traffic in that area of space. The message was clear. The Krell had learned their lesson. 6 months after the trial, a human spoke to the same Galactic Council. Her name was Ambassador Helen Cross. She was from Earth. She was a small woman, not even 5 feet tall. But when she spoke, everyone in the chamber listened. "Some of you have asked me a question," she began. Her voice was clear and strong. "You ask why humanity has such a large military. You say we claim to be peaceful. You say we prefer diplomacy. So why do we build warships? Why do we train soldiers? Why do we have ships like the Shadow of Intent?" She looked around the chamber. Her eyes met the eyes of representatives from many different species. The answer is simple. Peace is not the same as the absence of violence. Real peace happens when those who might commit violence understand that the cost is too high. She paused to let that sink in. Then she continued. "We build ships like the Shadow of Intent not because we want to use them. We build them because we must be able to use them if necessary. We train our crews to hunt not because we enjoy hunting. We do it because we must be able to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Cross walked to the center of the chamber. She wanted everyone to hear her clearly. "Let me tell you about human history. Our ancestors on Earth survived terrible challenges, ice ages that lasted thousands of years, predators with claws and teeth, diseases that killed millions, natural disasters, droughts, floods. We survived all of it. We survived because we never stopped thinking. We planned ahead. We adapted to change. We learned to track prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to set traps. We learned to work together in groups. We climbed to the top of our world's food chain not because we were the strongest, not because we were the fastest. We got there because we were relentless and intelligent." Several species in the chamber shifted uncomfortably. This was not the usual diplomatic speech. This was something different, something that felt like a warning. "Those instincts are still with us," Cross continued. "When Commander Matthews tracked the vengeance of stars for 17 days, he was doing what humans have done for hundreds of thousands of years. When he set the trap with the Liberty Dawn, he was using the same tactics our ancestors used to hunt large animals. We are persistence hunters. It is part of who we are." The chamber was completely silent. Every representative listened carefully. Cross let the silence continue for a moment. Then she spoke again. "But here is what you must understand. Those same instincts that make us dangerous also make us loyal. We protect our friends as fiercely as we hunt our enemies. We form alliances that last for generations. We never forget those who stand with us. Betray us and we will remember that too. Forever." She walked back to the human delegation area, but she turned to face the chamber one more time. "So let me be very clear. Humanity wants peace. We want to trade. We want cooperation. We want mutual prosperity. We will negotiate fairly. We will honor our agreements. We will be good neighbors to those who are good neighbors to us." Her voice became harder, colder. "But if you attack us, if you prey on our civilians, if you mistake our preference for diplomacy as weakness, then you will discover what it means to be hunted by humans. You will learn what happens when you become our target." She paused one final time. When she spoke again, her words would be remembered forever. The Liberty Dawn was not lost. It was exactly where we wanted it to be. The Shadow of Intent was not hiding. It was stalking its prey. Remember that. All of you, remember. The speech was broadcast everywhere. It was translated into hundreds of languages. It was discussed and debated across the galaxy. The phrase became famous. It was not lost, it was stalking. People said it when they talked about humans. They said it when they wanted to remind others not to underestimate someone. The speech became required viewing in military academies. Every species that had a military made their officers watch it. They studied it. They analyzed it. They learned from it. The galaxy had learned something important that day. Humans were not just merchants who traveled between stars. They were not just diplomats who talked and made deals. They were something else. Something older. Something more dangerous. They were predators. Not cruel or evil predators, but intelligent ones. Patient ones. The kind that would track you for weeks. The kind that would learn all your patterns. The kind that would strike at exactly the right moment with exactly the right amount of force. The kind of predators that had spent millions of years learning how to survive on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. The kind that had faced ice ages and plagues and massive predators and won every time. And now those predators were in space. With ships. With weapons. With all the technology of an advanced civilization. That combination was terrifying to anyone who stopped to think about it. In the years that followed the trial, something changed in the galaxy. Human ships moved through space without fear. Pirates and raiders saw vessels with human markings and turned away. They remembered the vengeance of stars. They wondered if somewhere nearby, hidden in the darkness of space, a human hunter was watching them. The change was not just about fear, it was about respect. The galaxy had finally understood what humans really were. They saw past the friendly smiles and trade agreements. They saw the predator underneath. Commander Jake Matthews was promoted to captain. He was given command of an entire squadron of stealth frigates. 5 ships, each one as dangerous as the shadow of intent. His mission was simple. Protect human interests, hunt those who threatened humanity. Lieutenant Claire Morrison eventually got her own ship. She became captain of a stealth frigate called the Silent Hunter. She used everything Matthews had taught her. She became one of the best hunters in the Human Systems Alliance Navy. The Liberty Dawn was gone. Destroyed as planned after serving as bait one final time. But her name lived on. Human children learned about her in school. Military cadets studied the operation. The galaxy remembered the ship that looked lost but was actually part of a trap. In human space, the Liberty Dawn became a symbol. When someone talked about appearing weak but actually being strong, they mentioned the Liberty Dawn. When someone talked about setting a perfect trap, they mentioned the Liberty Dawn. The old ship became legend. Commander Zekthor served 15 years in a human prison facility. The prison was not cruel. Humans did not torture their prisoners. But it was not pleasant either. Zekthor spent his days doing simple work, growing food in hydroponic gardens, repairing equipment, learning human languages and customs. The humans made all prisoners attend classes. They learned about human history. They learned about human philosophy. They learned why humans thought the way they did. It was part of the rehabilitation program. Zekthor learned many things during those 15 years. He learned that humans had spent most of their history fighting each other. Wars between nations, wars between religions, wars between different groups. Humans had perfected the art of war over thousands of years, but he also learned that humans had learned to stop fighting each other. They had created a united government. They had ended wars between human nations. They had turned all that military skill outward, toward protecting themselves from external threats. One day, a human teacher asked Zekthor a question. The teacher was old with gray hair and kind eyes. His name was Professor David Lee. Commander Zekthor, you have been here for 10 years now. What have you learned about humans? Zekthor thought about the question for a long time before answering. I learned that we were wrong about you. We thought humans were weak because you prefer peace. We thought you were easy prey. We were very wrong. Professor Lee nodded. What else? I learned that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because you are the strongest. Not because you have the best weapons. But because you never give up. Because you think ahead. Because you learn from every mistake. Because you will chase a target for as long as it takes to catch it. The professor smiled sadly. That is true. But you are missing something important. Do you know what it is? Zekthor shook his head. Humans are also capable of great kindness, the professor said. We forgive. We help those who need help. We take in refugees. We share our technology. We prefer to make friends rather than enemies. That is not weakness. That is strength under control. Zekthor thought about this. He looked around at the other prisoners in the class. They came from many different species. The Krell, the Vraxi, the Tholians. All of them had attacked humans or human allies. All of them were learning the same lessons. You could have killed us all, Zekthor said quietly. The shadow of intent could have destroyed the vengeance. Nobody would have blamed you. We attacked your civilians. We killed innocent people. You had every right to destroy us. Yes, the professor agreed. Captain Matthews could have destroyed your ship. But that would not have taught the lesson we wanted to teach. We wanted the galaxy to know that humans can be dangerous, but we also wanted to show that we follow rules, that we believe in justice, that we give prisoners fair treatment. After 15 years, Zekthor was released. He returned to the Krell hegemony. He found that everything had changed. The military leaders who wanted war with humans were gone. New leaders had taken their place. Leaders who understood that peace with humans was better than war. Many Krell wanted to talk to Zekthor. News reporters, military analysts, government officials. They all asked the same questions. What are humans really like? Are they as dangerous as people say? Should we be afraid of them? Zekthor gave the same answer every time. He said it in interviews. He said it in lectures at military academies. He said it to anyone who asked. Never hunt humans. Do not attack them. Do not threaten them. Do not prey on their weak. Because humans are better at hunting than you are. It is not just something they learned. It is something they are. It is in their nature. In their blood. In their bones. Young Krell warriors did not always believe him at first. They were proud. They were confident. They thought Zekthor was exaggerating. They thought he had become weak during his time in human prison. But then Zekthor would show them the footage. The video from the Shadow of Intent hunting the vengeance of stars. He would show them how the human ship moved, how it struck with such precision, how it dismantled a powerful warship piece by piece, and he would tell them about the 17 days. How the humans had followed them without being detected. How they had watched and learned. How they had waited for the perfect moment. After seeing the footage and hearing the story, the young warriors understood. Their pride would fade. Their confidence would become caution. They would nod and say they understood. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Different species told different versions of the story. But the core truth remained the same. Humans were persistence hunters. They were patient. They were intelligent. They were relentless. And they never forgot. Trade with humans flourished. More species joined alliances with the Human Systems Alliance. Everyone wanted to be friends with humans. Nobody wanted to be their enemy. Pirates and raiders learned to avoid human ships. If they saw human markings, they went the other way. It was not worth the risk. Who knew if there was a stealth frigate nearby, watching, recording, preparing to strike? The phrase became common wisdom across the galaxy. It was taught to children. It was repeated in military academies. It was mentioned in diplomatic meetings. Never hunt humans. They are better at it than you are. And somewhere in the darkness of space, human ships continued their eternal patrol, watching, waiting, protecting, ready to become hunters the moment anyone threatened the innocent. Because that was what humans were. Not monsters, not villains. Just predators who had learned to control their nature. Predators who preferred peace but never forgot how to hunt. 20 years after the hunt for the vengeance of stars, Captain Jake Matthews stood on the bridge of a new ship. This one was much larger than the Shadow of Intent. It was a carrier-class vessel named the Eagle's Shadow. It carried 12 stealth frigates and over 2,000 crew members. Matthews was older now. His hair had some gray in it. Lines showed on his face. But his eyes were still sharp. Still alert. Still the eyes of a hunter. His second officer was Commander Lisa Grant. She was young, energetic, and brilliant. She had studied the vengeance operation in the Naval Academy. It was her favorite case study. "Captain, we have a situation," Grant reported. "The Tholian Empire has been raiding colony worlds in the Outer Rim. 3 attacks in the past month. They hit fast and leave before anyone can respond." Matthews studied the tactical display. The Tholians were an insect-like species. They were aggressive and territorial. They had been causing problems for years, but this was new. They had never attacked human colonies before. "What do we know about their tactics?" Matthews asked. "They use fast attack cruisers, hit the colony, take what they want, and jump away before defense forces arrive. Very simple but effective. They never stay in one place long enough to be caught." Matthews smiled slightly. "They never stay long enough to be caught by ships that chase them directly." "But what if someone was already there, waiting?" Grant understood immediately. "You want to set another trap." "Like the Liberty Dawn." "Not exactly like that," Matthews said. "But the principle is the same. We find out where they will strike next. We get there first, we wait. When they arrive, we take them. Over the next week, human intelligence officers worked hard. They analyzed the Tholian attacks. They looked for patterns. Which colonies were hit? What was stolen? What time of day did attacks happen? Where did the Tholian ships come from? Slowly, a pattern emerged. The Tholians were targeting colonies with rare minerals. They were moving in a specific direction, hitting worlds along a trade route. If the pattern continued, the next target would be a colony called New Perth. Matthews took the Eagle's Shadow to New Perth, but he did not announce their arrival. He did not park the big carrier in orbit where everyone could see it. Instead, he moved to the far side of the system. He hid the carrier behind a gas giant planet, and he sent 3 stealth frigates to positions around the colony. Then they waited. Days passed. The colonists on New Perth went about their normal business. They had no idea that 3 invisible warships floated nearby, watching over them. On the 7th day, sensors detected ships entering the system. 4 Tholian attack cruisers. They came in fast, confident, ready to raid and leave. All frigates weapons free. Matthews ordered calmly. Take them. The 3 stealth frigates revealed themselves all at once. They appeared from 3 different directions. The Tholians suddenly found themselves surrounded. They had been hunting, but now they were the prey. The battle was short. The Tholian ships were built for raiding, not for fighting warships. The human frigates used the same tactics that had worked against the Krell. Precise strikes. Disabled engines first, then weapons, then life support. Within 20 minutes, all 4 Tholian cruisers were helpless. Their crews surrendered immediately. They knew about human hunters. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. The Tholian fleet commander was brought aboard the Eagle's Shadow. His name was Zixtar. He had 4 arms and compound eyes that looked in multiple directions. He stood before Matthews, defeated and confused. How did you know we would come here? Zixtar asked in broken human language. How did you predict our target? Matthews looked at the Tholian commander. Because humans are very good at finding patterns. We studied your raids. We analyzed your tactics. We figured out where you would go next. Then we waited, but we are fast. We strike quickly and leave. How did you catch us? You were fast, Matthews agreed. But we were already here. You cannot outrun someone who is already waiting for you. That is what humans do. We do not just chase. We predict. We prepare. We wait. Zixtar's antenna drooped. He understood. The Tholians had heard stories about human hunters. They should have listened more carefully. News of the New Perth operation spread quickly. It was proof that the Liberty Dawn had not been a lucky accident. Humans really were that good at hunting. They could do it again and again. More species learned the lesson. The Tholians stopped raiding. They signed a peace treaty with humanity. They agreed to pay compensation to the colonies they had attacked. In the Galactic Council, Ambassador Cross gave another speech. She was older now, too, but still strong and clear. Some of you are wondering if humanity will become a threat, she said. You see our military successes. You see how we hunt those who attack us. You worry that we might turn our attention to you next. She paused and looked around the chamber. Let me be clear. Humanity has no interest in conquest. We do not want to rule other species. We do not want to take your territory. We want to trade. We want to cooperate. We want to live in peace. But, she continued, and her voice became firm, we will not tolerate aggression against our people or our allies. If you attack us, we will respond, not with random violence, not with revenge, but with precise, measured justice. We will hunt you down. We will capture you. We will bring you to trial, and you will face the consequences of your actions. The chamber was silent. Everyone understood. Humanity had drawn a clear line. Stay on the right side of that line, and humans were the best friends you could have. Cross the line, and they became the most dangerous enemy. Years passed. More incidents happened. Pirates tried to raid human colonies. They were caught. Aggressive species tried to test human defenses. They were defeated. Each time, the human response was the same. Patient, precise, effective. The galaxy learned. Slowly but surely, violence against humans decreased. It became rare. Then it became almost unheard of, not because humans had conquered anyone, but because everyone understood that attacking humans was a very bad idea. Captain Matthews eventually retired from active service. He became an instructor at the Human Naval Academy. He taught young officers the art of patience, The value of intelligence gathering, the importance of precise action. His students called his class the Hunter Course. It was the most difficult class at the academy. Many students failed, but those who passed became the best officers in the fleet. On the first day of every semester, Matthews would tell his students the story of the Liberty Dawn. He would describe how they set the trap, how they waited, how they struck at exactly the right moment, and he would end with the same words every time. Remember this: we are not cruel. We are not evil. We are not monsters, but we are hunters. It is in our nature, in our history, in every cell of our bodies. Our ancestors survived by being the best hunters on Earth. We survived by never giving up, by always learning, by always adapting. That nature is still with us. We carry it into space. We use it to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We use it to bring justice to those who prey on the innocent. Never forget what you are. Never forget what humans can be when necessary. The students would listen carefully. They would understand. And they would go out into the galaxy, carrying the lessons with them. And somewhere in the darkness of space, human ships continued their patrol. Always watching, always ready, always patient. The descendants of persistence hunters now hunting among the stars, protecting the innocent, pursuing the guilty, never stopping, never giving up, because some things never change. Humans were hunters on Earth, they were hunters in space, and they would always be hunters no matter how far they traveled or how much time passed. It was simply who they were. And the galaxy had learned to respect that.